Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Generational Wrestling Podcast. As always, is yours truly, the 28-year-old piece of gold of franchise, aka the showstopper, better known as the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, as always, I got my tag team partner, my brother, my family. He is the flyest in the room, Mr. 1, 2, 3. Pin that ass down, K Breezy, aka EC's resident Isaac Hayes, King 2 Code in the building, bros. What's going on?
Man, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's up with the people, man? What's going on with y'all, man? We ain't seen y'all in a while, man. It's always glad to be back with the folks. What's good with you, bro?
Oh man, nothing much. Before we really get into this, man, I want to remind the people, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also make sure you like and comment the videos. You know, that'll really help with the algorithm to push everything through. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you like what we got, you want to see more of what we got, man, like, comment, interact with us so we can talk back with you. But hey, yo, man, now that we
And
got
on
all the
Facebook, don't
preliminaries
forget Facebook and TikTok too.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, all the good stuff. But now that we got the preliminaries out the way, too, Cole, man, I got one question for you. Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Man, hey, yo.
So
Damn,
the
man.
wrestling world, man, we definitely took a huge loss, man. A couple years ago, we lost Brody Lee, and then we would end up losing, one of the guys who really some might even say was responsible in certain ways for the Attitude Era. And of course, man, that's that boy Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. He passed away yesterday at 63 years old. He had 3 heart attacks. It was reported. Man, too cold. The wrestling world, man. We take this one on. We take this one. We take it on the chin for sure. Really quick, man. So we're gonna make it. We want to make it known that this is a dedication show to Sky Hall. We are going to talk about current wrestling news and rumors, a couple of things that happened on Monday Night Raw, heading into Mania. Then we're going to, of course, finish off the show with some thoughts about Sky Hall, Big E, of course, as well, AJ Styles. But really quick, man. Speaking of Sky Hall, so one of my fond memories that I really kind of got in depth with, Scott Hall and wrestling and stuff like that from his angle. I would never forget. I was about maybe 10, 11 years old. Went to a FYE, I believe at the time. Maybe it's a little older, maybe 12 or 13, because now I'm thinking about FYE. And we got the history of the ladder match DVD. And, one of the first matches I seen was, of course, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and Shawn Michaels. And come out with the toothpick, just the whole swag and everything like that. And then, of course, when you think about Scott Hall in his later years, he spent a little time, I believe, in TNA for a hot second. And then, of course, WWE, WCW. But when Scott Hall, man, when he jumped ship and he showed up, dude, really quick for you, what did that mean for you to watch that live as a fan at that time to see, Scott Hall, now Razor Ramon, hey yo, what I'm saying, on the Rivals television promotion. And then of course you had the infamous curtain call as well. What did that mean to you? What was that era like for you live in that moment?
Man, first and foremost, Scott Hall wasn't just a guy. He was the bad guy. He was the bad guy. And he was such a bad guy. You loved him and you hated him all at the same time. I joked earlier that there's a meme. I was with Bishop earlier, and I was like, man, it's a meme. And I found it so true and funny and all at the same time. But it's the meme of Razor Ramon sitting on the porch with like a bunch of black kids, around him.
Yeah,
and it says the only and it says the only dude to ever walk in the hood and not get his chain snatched. And it's so true because that's just who Razor Ramon is, man. He was just that bad guy of a dude where if you was gonna walk up and try to do something to him, man, he was gonna smack the piss out of you. and he sold you on that, man. He was the bad guy. He did what he want, how he want, when he want. And man, yo, you love to hate him, and I hated him. And when 1, 2, 3 Kid, when he first debuted and he beat him, and at that time, you didn't know Sean Waltman was really a part of the clique, and all like that. He was friends, but the story of the way they portrayed it and everything else, it just all gelled so well. And then when he got the pin over him, and then you guys, Razor Ramon's reaction to it, it it was almost a star in the making. I mean, of course, he would go on to beat the shit out of 1, 2, 3 Kid the next match afterwards. But but it was one of those moments,
It
man,
was
where
fun while it lasted.
right, it was fun while it lasted, but he did proceed to whoop that ass. But but as a character though, man, his slow delivery, it probably threw some people off, but I thought it fit with who he was. It was just the way he talked. I'm glad he kind of dropped the accent a little more and just started talking. Like, when he first came out,
Yeah,
man, he had that, that Caribbean kind of accent, and then he just kind of dropped it, and you heard the hey yo, and that was the more that's when you really got more dig more into Razor Ramon. I will say,
right.
one of the few guys in wrestling that I understand once the personal problems became an issue, but before the personal problems became an issue, I'd never understood why Razor Ramon never got the world title or the WWE WWF at that time championship. Uh, he was definitely one of those dudes that could have won it, but I especially when he came out, it was at a time when WWE needed new guys, and he was one of those guys.
Yeah,
Him, Shawn Michaels, Big Daddy Cool, Bret Hart, British Bulldog. Like, you had a plethora of guys that was like your guys you were going to move forward with. But we all know what happened with him and Kevin Nash, after a while. But you brought it up, when he showed up and he's coming down the crowd, man, and I'm
yeah,
watching, and at this time I'm watching the match and I'm watching the show, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, that dude looked familiar. Like, it didn't hit me until he really got into the ring, and I'm like, yo, that's nah, man, that can't be who I think it is, because I
right,
didn't
right,
really know
right.
that he wasn't with the company anymore. So it was like, not knowing, like, but you got to think about it. Back then, you didn't have the internet, so you didn't know stuff the way you know it now. So the
Right.
surprise element of when something like that happened, yo, it was a surprise element. It was shock value. It hit hard, because you couldn't you're like, nah, man, nah, man, you on the other company. What you? Oh, Vince is about to really do, and it had really had people thinking Vince was invading WCW. So you have him coming out and he cuts
Right.
the hey yo, and he lets it be known, if you want a war, you'll get a war. And that's what they got. That's what they brought. They brought a war. And then when he introduced Kevin Nash, it was golden. You had
Yeah,
the outsiders.
yeah,
You had the outsiders just wrecking hell on WCW, coming in and just taking the tag team championship. I mean, and then when it got down to the nitty gritty of it, you got Hulk Hogan. You got the greatest heel turn of all time. That's right, I
yeah,
said it. The
yeah,
greatest heel
yeah.
turn of all
No lies
time.
detected.
I
Yes,
flat out,
sir.
that flat out, man.
Yes,
Because when
sir.
Hogan turned heel, you've never seen. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, not to say that people never threw stuff in ring. People thrown stuff in rings to all the greats before Hulk Hogan, but man, the impact of how because Hulk Hogan was so positive for so long, and for him
Yeah,
to be the one guy you knew was going to come to the rescue of WCW, you didn't have a doubt in
yeah,
your mind that he was going to do what he actually did. You knew if Hulk
yeah,
Hogan came down, oh, it's a wrap. He gonna whoop these boys. We gonna move on. Nah. Nah, he threw that leg drop, and you see Scott Hall give that boy the point. You see him giving that boy the point, and you had the founding fathers of the NWO, and he is a huge part of that because he was the first one to show up. He was the first one to spark that Monday Night War that we got, and man, what a war it was! What a war! All in all, as the years went on, things were different. Like I say, personal problems started taking place, and you weren't seeing Scott Hall prominently like you wanted to see him. Um,
right.
but just that, and really after that, it really wasn't too great for him. It was really just more of a downward spiral. He tried at certain, in TNA and other times, but it just didn't work out. And then once he got the help of DDP, and he went through all of that he went through.
Definitely a
And he
good
was
friend of the show.
then well, most definitely. And for him to do what he did with those guys, with him and Jake Roberts and others, um, and to get Scott back into a right
Mhm.
place, and for him to be able to accept his roses and be inducted into the Hall of Fame for his work, because the dude was a worker, man. That Sky Hall, hey, man, the dude was a
Yeah,
worker. He could work with anybody in any match, and
right.
he can sell. The dude. He was charismatic. He can work in the ring, and he can make a guy look good, and he can destroy a guy all at the same time. So, uh, but for me, man, just seeing him in all his glory is what I'll remember the most. I know a lot of people will remember the worst. Some, they won't. A lot of people don't know, the good he's done, or actually got to see it to really understand it. But
Mhm.
yeah, man, nah, man, that one hurt. Because I, man, been riding with the bad guy since day one. I like I say, you love to hate him, and I hated him, but I I loved him. It was the bad guy,
That's
Chico. That's what it was.
hey yo, I even, in my name on the screen, I even took the liberty, go on here for this one show, man, putting the bad
The
guy,
bad guy.
and you know what, and I want to be, super duper transparent, man, Scott Hall, man, and we're gonna move on in a second. I would never sit up here and claim to be the biggest Scott Hall fan, not at all. But at the same time, I wasn't the biggest Scott Hall fan as far as the character goes, because Scott Hall was a little before my time. Like, I've seen, matches. I've seen Scott Hall kind of do his thing, but it was kind of, it was super duper tail end, right? So,
Right.
I don't really have that appreciation that a Tuco would have for Scott Hall, or many others. But at the same time, being a student of the sport, being a historian of the sport, being somebody who covers the sport now as a second job, I definitely respect the impact he's had on the sport, and it's about knowing those who come before you to know where you're going. So again, man, we definitely gonna talk more about Scott Hall. We're gonna talk about his legacy, but moving forward, man, let's talk a little bit of present day. So we had Monday Night Raw yesterday. Very, very, very. I'm not even gonna give this a mid rating. This was below mid. I mean, if there was anything other than mid, this will be it. I believe it's called the shits. So we're gonna call it that. uh,
These shits.
Mama Tuco said, "Who was that?" And rest in
What's
peace,
going on,
Razor.
mama?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
rest in peace, one
man.
of the
Yeah,
best.
man. Razor Ramon, the bad guy, Chico. Hey, man. I,
Tuco,
man,
man.
I don't know a guy that could come down with the little one
With the
Michael,
one
the
swoop.
little one swoop right there in the forehead with a
Yeah,
toothpick in his
yeah,
mouth and still be looking like a
yeah.
badass. I
And
do just
I call that
and
too.
smack the dog shit. I mean, smack the dog shit out of you, boy. I swear.
Hey,
Them punches
I
he
call the
laid.
swoop the Michael Jackson.
Man,
I
hey,
call I
man, he
call it
rocked that boy. Hey, he rocked it. I call it the Razor
yeah.
Ramon because he took that. And Michael might have had it, but
And
he
you know what's
but
crazy?
Razor took it.
But you know what's crazy about the swoop? Like, even after a full match, you still get that one hair that ain't moved nowhere.
Right, like his all the rest of his hair would be everywhere else, but that one swoop, it will still
That
be
one
right
little
there,
swoop.
man. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and it's always funny because out of all the stuff he did, somehow, some way, this mug would still pull a damn toothpick out of his hair and just flick it. Like, where the hell was that toothpick at, man? I could have swore I saw you lose that like 20 minutes ago. But somehow it was still in his head, and he knew right exactly where it was at, and he'll pull it out and throw that boy. I'm like, man, you something else, man. So yeah, nah, there was definitely something about Scott, man, that was awesome. I'm sorry, I know we was talking about Raw, but that's just how shitty Raw was.
No,
I'd
no, no.
rather talk about Scott,
Hey,
but nah, but no, I want you to continue to go through it though.
all right, well, going back to legends and Hall of Famers, man. So we got Edge. So Edge, he's got a new attitude now, man. Got a new theme song
Uh,
as well, and that seems to be one of the things that people kind of the internet seems to be very divided on, man. I think the theme song, I like it. I think it's cool, but anywho. let's talk about this Edge right here, because this Edge, he says, you know what, I don't give a damn about the fans. You know, he cut a typical heel promo, and it's definitely a very typical heel promo of a heel that has come back after a long layoff and then has returned as a babyface, right? And in that seems to be the go-to, you know, attack the fans. I came back. I started losing because I tried to please you. You know, the typical shit. Dude, this Edge that we're getting right here, this Edge. Now, let me ask you this. I don't do you feel, because I know we felt the way about him and Roman, and we said that Roman shouldn't have took that loss, or shouldn't have taken a loss, I should say, the Edge. With him and AJ Styles, do we think it's about time that Edge gets a win? Because I don't think it hurts AJ Styles. I actually think Edge needs this win at WrestleMania. And I
What
think
does
AJ Styles is
Edge need
actually
to win? Okay,
well,
I know what you're asking,
let me
but
ask you
I'm
this:
go ahead.
if do you, okay, and the reason I say that is
Keep
because
talking, keep talking.
Babyface Edge, it was, you know, Babyface Edge was cool, right? Babyface Edge was okay, but my thing is this: if you're gonna do a heel Edge, if you're gonna go in with the all-in heel Edge, I guess not necessarily a rated R superstar Edge, but you know, like that kind of that maniacal, evil, psychotic Edge. I feel like this is an Edge that you could push for one last title run if you so choose to go that direction. And if that
I
is the
mean,
case, if you plan on pushing Edge, I believe he needs to get this victory.
well, one, you're not going to have a title run because you're about to merge two titles. Two, my whole thing with the Edge
RKA,
heel
what's up?
turn is when did Edge lose? I'm sorry, when did he lose? He's been winning the last couple of matches. He beat Seth Rollins, he beat The Miz twice. Uh, what was the last time he lost? Lost? Like, I mean, he ain't really lost nothing. He just, I, the whole coming
But he
back
hasn't
and
won.
it's
But
you.
he hasn't won any important matches though. He hasn't won the
I,
important ones. He's won little random matches, but he ain't won matches that meant shit since he's been back, with the exception of beating Randy Orton. But that was it.
I mean, he's won a few matches that meant something towards like a title, but didn't win the title match. Now, if you're saying, well, he hasn't won a title match, well, that's because honestly, I'm not really expecting Edge to win a title. But then again, if Goldberg came back and did it, why would you not give it to Edge a couple one more time to make him a 12-time champion? But the whole the whole you people are the reason why I came back for you. It's like, yeah, you came back for yourself, and I get it, but I wish there was more of an impact to his heel turn. Like if he'd have lost the first match to the Miz, and then he lost the tag team match to the Miz, I could buy his heel turn then, because it's like, dude, I'm losing to the Miz. It's like just flat, like I'm like damn, like that would turn any dude crazy. Like I can't beat the Miz. Like what the hell is this? Yeah. So then and AJ Styles can like guilt trip him, or not guilt trip him, but feel guilty and want to give him a pity match, and that ticks Edge off because he doesn't want a pity match. He's want to be respected. You know something. But
Right,
just
right, right.
I don't know. I just feel like the whole delivery of it, and all of a sudden he's just, oh well, this is the Edge he should have always been. I mean, dude, you were that Edge. You decided to be more friendly, but you didn't have to be. But I I don't know, man. The theme music, the blue light.
Okay, the blue light, I could do without the blue light.
I mean, I
It's
don't know,
too
man.
Undertaker-ish.
That too, that very much so, very much so. I mean, it's Edge, so you can kind of get away with that. But if he did red light, but the Undertaker was purple, so I guess you got to give him that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just didn't totally feel his transformation to a heel. And I mean, I buy into Edge as a heel. I'm not saying I don't believe
Yeah,
in that.
yeah.
It's just the whole. I don't know. I feel like it could have been more. You could have did more to make the match feel special. The match doesn't feel special. Edge turning heel the way he did and saying what he's saying is just like it everything feels rushed. Let's just be honest. Everything feels rushed. The
Yeah.
forget about the show. Forget about the match. Let's just overall look at what's going on and what they're trying to do. You got 7 matches. I think 3 of them are celebrity matches.
Mm-hmm.
You got the title, and the rest are the title matches. Uh, you got 2 nights. You're probably going to put on a 3 to 4 hour show both nights. Like everything is rushed. Nothing feels important. The only match that has any importance is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. That's the only match that really important. Sasha Banks and Belair, Sasha Banks and Belair, Belair and Becky.
What?
Uh, it's it's a continued story. Okay, it has something. Ronda and Flair, it has something. They have history. Not saying it's not nothing. Uh, of course, then you got the Edge and Styles. You got the Seth Rollins, who may or not may face Cody Rhodes. Which I feel like if you were going to do this, Cody Rhodes should have showed up last night, but he didn't do that. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to
In
surprise.
Jacksonville of all places.
Right, and that could have been him just been like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Out of respect, whatever. But I have a feeling he's going to end up showing up at WrestleMania if he is signed. If he is, which makes the prediction even that much more tough because it's like, all right, we don't even know what the hell is going to happen. We really don't know what
Right.
matches are coming on. I feel like a lot of these matches may be so last minute that it's I don't know, man. I just this WrestleMania looks whack as hell. The build to everything is stupid.
Yeah.
Finn Balor versus Priest, I want to see it, but it's like, man, I ain't got no faith that you're gonna let Balor look great. And Priest has just been, I don't know, man. He's been mid. Like we like him, and I'm glad he's
Yeah.
been getting the opportunity, but he's been really just mid. Like his face and his heel, he ain't really doing. He's not really being impactful. Like he's not really doing anything to me that I feel like uh he he should be bigger than what we know he should be.
Yeah, man. But you know what? That's all right. So you know what? I had a whole kind of like plan theme for this shit. Well, we gonna just shoot from the hip. Fuck the plan I had because I like where the conversation is going. All right, so you're absolutely correct as far as Priest, right? And so you and I to kind of I guess peel the curtain back a little bit. You and I we had a conversation earlier, and we were
Right.
talking about SmackDown and Raw possibly being utilized for the foreseeable future for NXT to help develop talent. We've seen the Miz earlier, and he was on there with Robert Roode and of course Dolph Ziggler on NXT to
Mhm.
help bolster the ratings. Now, with that being said, you brought up a very good point. Okay, well, that's cool and all, but you had Dolph Ziggler beat Braun Breaker, but you're calling up Braun Breaker. So why would you have a main roster guy be the NXT guy, which is the guy you're going to call up? So, and I didn't look at it like that at first because to me, I was like, okay, well, maybe he could beat Braun Breaker and Braun Breaker could win it back at Mania or Mania weekend, stand and deliver with the thought that he was still going to be in NXT. Not that they were going to both be technically Raw guys fighting for the NXT Championship, which to me kind of defeated the purpose of you bringing in Dolph Ziggler in the first place. Because in my mind, it goes back to the Karrion Cross effect, right? It's like having an NXT champion come out to Monday Night Raw and getting buried by Jeff Hardy just to not do nothing with Jeff Hardy. So, I don't understand in what logical way does that say this guy's ready for the world title picture? Like you felt if you're going to do that match, it should have been Tommaso Ciampa, which to me makes absolute sense. Now, let's kind of talk about that for a second. Let's talk about building guys because we said this earlier that WWE
Mm.
NXT, they have no stars. There's very few and far between, right? Because you done pretty much got rid of everybody. And now, like you said,
Young
they're
stars.
fast track guys.
When
Young
you
stars,
say
excuse me.
stars,
Young
young
stars.
stars,
Yes, yes, yes.
or the non WWE stars, where the guys that are big from other places, but they're coming through NXT because you have to be very specific when you say that because because people already think one thing, but no, NXT is not a
What
place of
there's
stars, but they're a place where people can become the stars, and those that have become stars and show that they can become something good and great, they don't get the same respect when you get to the main roster. It's like, again, when you get to NXT, it's all about the wrestling, but when you get to the main roster, it's about the entertainment. And I just
Well,
don't see Braun, and that's where I don't see that working well for Braun Breaker.
And see, okay, but here's something that really, and it genuinely hurt my feelings, man, just as a wrestling fan, because somebody posted a video, right? And this was of
Mhm.
Robert Roode, one of his first ever takeover entrances. And dude, you had the choir on the stage, you had the lights down, down
Glorious,
low, and you had the whole crowd in
hallelujah,
the choir
hallelujah,
going nuts. You had my boy on the
glorious.
podium, and he had his arms up, and he was spinning slowly on the podium, and that whole thing was epic, right? Even Finn Balor, how many times has he come out in the NXT takeover as the demon, and he had all kind of crazy entrances, right? You look at Shinsuke Nakamura, all kind of crazy entrances, like NXT. Like, okay, yeah, true, NXT is about the wrestling, but even the way that their superstars are presented was larger than life, even in NXT. My thing is the same thing could have worked on the main roster. If you gave it the chance. You can't tell me that old school Robert Roode entrance wouldn't have worked on the Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown.
It
Hell,
was
Shinsuke.
flamboyant. I mean, now, okay, now if I can see where Vince hated Robert Roode's entrance, it was too close to Ric Flair because of the robe. That was I can almost guarantee you that was the reason why his entrance didn't work for him on the main roster. Because again, now him coming in in NXT, there's nobody else coming out like that. But it's that's Ric Flair is, and Ric Flair, Vince, how Vince feels about. I mean, look at Dolph Ziggler. You saw how once he started to really start looking old like and started taking more of that HBK monic, you see how that failed him. So when you think of
Right.
Robert Roode and you think of the way he came out, like the song, the way it played, like it was a faster beat of Ric Flair, but it it was too close. Everything about his interest and everything was too close to Ric Flair, and I guarantee you, man, that was a big reason why they changed it. And then after changing it, they didn't making him giving him more crappy stuff and not really just going on his ability, but just thinking that you saw where it took him. And
Okay,
not to say that
so
he
so
didn't.
what's it?
What's up?
I'm sorry, no, I ain't mean to cut you off. The way you stopped,
No,
I
what's
thought
up?
you
No,
was
go
done
ahead.
with
Go
it.
ahead.
No, go
No,
ahead,
no,
say
go
me.
ahead.
So
No,
okay,
because I no, go
so
ahead.
what's the excuse? So what's the excuse with carrying Cross? Because once again, that entrance killed in NXT. Now, why did you change that? Shinsuke Nakamura, his entrance, that is the one entrance. I don't know how you fucked that up.
Too
Like you
long.
lived, you
Too
had to
long.
think
Too
what?
long. That was the reason. Vince thought his entrance
Oh,
was too
come
long.
on,
And it was. You got to think about it, man. It was. He was.
bro. Look
You
how
got to
long
think about
Triple
him coming
H's
out.
entrance is.
It was, but in Shinsuke's was longer than
Shawn
that.
Michaels,
Longer than
Undertaker,
that.
like,
Longer. Well,
and I get these are
his
like
entrance might have been
completely.
as long as the Undertaker, but the Undertaker doesn't come out week to week. Shinsuke was coming out week to week. That was the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
That's the difference.
yeah.
Undertaker wasn't coming out week to week with that same long entrance, and plus the ramp ain't that long, so he ain't walking that slow. Shinsuke, man, with everything he did, yeah, no, that week to week, Vince wanna, sometimes Vince wanna speed the show up. Sometimes, he's changing shit on the fly, and he doesn't have
Right,
time for Shinsuke to do a 5 minute intro. You need to do a 2.5 intro and go out there and do what you need to do. So
right,
that's
right,
the
right.
that's the thing about that.
You make sense. You make sense. I'm just like,
Oh,
ah, man.
that was the report on that. Like, well, one of the reasons why you started seeing his intros getting shortened and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it seemed like, bro, it seemed like his first couple months, the shit just got shorter and shorter. And then at one point, they changed this thing song completely altogether where you couldn't even sing along with the shit because they had like
Yeah,
they had like some type of Asian rapper on there. So it was just like,
it was the remix. They remixed it
yeah,
so it can come on and play quicker. So he's not
yeah.
doing the long entrance. That's what it was for. I mean, that was cool. I actually didn't mind it because I know a lot after a while, especially with really. Rey Mysterio and Dominic's on NXT. Oh man, Vince, I hate you. I hate you right now, man.
Wait, are they really? I'm on the Kushida
Yeah,
match.
man,
I didn't even get to
he's
Ray and
shaking.
Dominic.
No, oh man, my bad. He's shaking the hand of Escobar.
Oh, damn.
As
Oh, oh, man.
they was interviewing Escobar, and Ray and Dom just stood and just walked up. I
Okay.
think
See,
he about to challenge him.
I'm not mad at Ray and Dom. And the only reason I said it because you're not really, you really ain't. I mean, Ray at the tail end of his career, you're not really doing much of Ray once you get done with Dom.
No, but
Dom is
but
still green as
here's
hell.
my
He
prop.
actually
But
needs to
here's
be in it.
my problem. No, here's my problem. If I'm Escobar, I don't care that you're Rey Mysterio's son. Ain't no way in hell this young punk is on the main roster telling me this young punk, this green ass is better than me. Hell no. Ain't no way in hell you telling me that. Nah, in a way, I'm insulted. I respect is respect, but at the same way, at the same time, I'm insulted, man. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, man. Nah, we gonna have we gonna shoot on NXT tomorrow. This is a different show. We gonna finish this Raw stuff
Bet,
because
bet.
we gonna finish off with with Scott. But yeah, no man. The I just don't have there was no faith in what certain guys could do. Uh because even though they were somewhat entertaining in NXT, they came out, they did their promos, they fought, they did stuff to other wrestlers or whatever. But Vince want more goofy. The main roster was about being goofy. Now he's trying to portray it more like it's about the entertainment and the in-ring work. Hell, I mean, you don't even want wrestlers to be called wrestlers or say wrestling, but you still want to call yourself World Wrestling Entertainment, which you should just change it to World Entertainment. Uh, but and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do that. If they don't drop the W in WWE and just become World Entertainment.
You know what? I can see it. You see with WWF, they had the whole get the F out commercial. Now they gonna get the whole
Well,
get
that's
the
because
wrestling
of the
out.
wildlife. That's because of the whole. That's because of the whole Wi-Fi. The wildlife thing,
Bro,
though.
I'm gonna keep it all the way greasy with you like a Popeye chicken sandwich, man. Fuck the world wildlife fund. When the last time you heard of them motherfuckers? You don't even see commercials. Fuck them pandas. What the fuck?
No, man, we need the pandas. Look here, no, the
I mean,
GOW
they
love the
cute,
pandas.
dog.
We love the pandas, man. Don't fuck them pandas. We love the pandas, man. All right, look here, we don't need that heat. They come out of nowhere. Huh? We don't need that heat, man. We love the pandas. All right. We may not care that y'all made our company change their name, but we love the pandas. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I just get a little emotional.
Yes. It's all right though. It's okay. It's all right. I think the people know by
Oh
now.
man.
I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
people
yeah.
know
Hey,
by
hey,
now.
hey, man. Hey, to know me is to love me. All right, man.
Right.
So next up, man. So too cold. Now we got KO, man. Kevin Owens. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now it's being right now labeled as the KO show. I seriously doubt we're gonna get a match or of any type with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
We
But I want
shouldn't.
to ask you this, man. Has the build so far made you want to see this? Because I feel like honestly, you
No.
don't need Kevin Owens for this. I feel like with it being in Texas anyway, I feel like Stone Cold and or the Undertaker was kind of already a shoe in just to appear anyway. I would have assumed that with them being two Hall of Famers from Texas. I don't think you needed Kevin Owens for this. I think you could have easily had Stone Cold come out like The Rock did a few years ago. Come out, probably be the host of WrestleMania. You've done it before with other people. And you could have made him like the host. He could have had him come out and just kind of interact throughout the show to give people
Yeah.
that Stone Cold fix. Do you feel like this whole Kevin Owens thing is necessary, or do you even care about it at this point?
Um, I'm torn, okay? Because one is Kevin Owens, and we know when we get Kevin Owens like this, we know he's a little unpredictable, and we know he can do something. For him to be this guy and to issue out something to the one guy, we know you don't want to issue out anything to, because he will ride in on his quad, whatever. He will ride in on his four wheeler. He will ride in with beers
Yeah,
in hand with a mud hole to stump a hole in your ass. Okay, and will give you two middle fingers. This dude will not
Yeah.
hesitate to stun your ass, okay, and give you the little head bob, and then drink some beer and say, "Oh hell yeah," as he's leaving the ring. So it's like, yes, cool, uh, but the build so far. I mean, okay, he issued it out to him. Stone Cold responded. Kevin Owens now responded. Do we get to see Stone Cold prior to WrestleMania, or is he just waiting till WrestleMania? And then also the whole thing between him and Seth Rollins. I'm sorry, they both are above what they're doing now and should be doing something more important. And the fact that they had a
Yeah.
match to see who was going to host the show, like really, Kevin Seth Rollins don't even host the show. But at the same time, you come on, man. Like really, this is what you had. Like it was a waste. To me, it was a waste because again, I feel like whatever you're doing with Seth, you making it mysterious, but with lack of surprise effect that WWE has had, when you tell people you
Yeah.
got a Madison Square Garden event and Brock Lesnar is going to fight somebody and it's going to be a huge, and it's been regarded as a huge secret, no one is going to know who it is, and then it comes out to be Austin Theory. Now, in some ways, it's cool because it's like that's Austin Theory. We want to see him, but we also know it's Brock Lesnar. Oh, he's about to whoop this boy ass in about 5 seconds, and
Right,
uh,
right,
and then
right.
take a selfie, and he gonna take a selfie while he giving this boy a F5. So, I do we really trust WWE's when they tell you a surprise return when it's somebody that's like, eh, mm, and it's always that way. Could they get this
Right.
surprise at WrestleMania? Could it be Cody Rhodes? Again, like I said earlier, I think they dropped the ball on that. But having Seth and Kevin Owens fight in this meaningless match that meant nothing at WrestleMania, man, dude, damn, dude, you can do
Yeah.
so much more, but you only have so much to do. So I guess you got rid of everybody. So I guess you ain't really got shit.
All right, Tuco, man. Last little bit of news from WWE. This one ain't from Monday Night Raw. This is actually from Friday Night SmackDown. So we had our boy Big E, former
Man.
WWE champion Big E. He took a nasty, nasty bump at the hands of Ridge Holland this past Friday night on Friday Night SmackDown, man, the tag team match. Right now it's being reported, man, he's got a fractured neck. He's it's looking like he's not gonna make it at Mania. Also, with this being said, we had the main roster call up of Pete Dunne. I refuse to call him Butch. We had Pete Dunne, and this actually was supposed to lead to a match for Pete Dunne at WrestleMania. Of course, being part of it's been reported it would have been Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Pete Dunne versus the New Day. Tuco, obviously, first things first. Big E, potential scary situation here, neck injury. We don't really know what's the timetable on this return. He seems to be in good spirits. Pete Dunne as well. Now, you obviously can't do the 3-on-3. What do you think this does for the WrestleMania card for these gentlemen, especially?
Um, as far as the card, they'll do one of two things. It may be a 3-on-2, or it may be a 2-on-2. If they do the 2-on-2, I feel like they should let it be Pete Dunne and Rich. Well, not I wouldn't use Rich Hollins because I would put Sheamus in this match and then have him just go up against Xavier and Kofi, because you need a match. That's the sad
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
You need a match, and this was a match you were going to put on your main card. I don't care where you were going to put it, because your damn show ain't wasting a match for the pre-show. You ain't got matches to waste for the pre-show. So, uh,
Hell no.
and I can see Vince still doing something, but you were putting this as a main card for your grandest show. Ah, that alone by itself is almost sad. Well, it's
Criminal.
kind of sad, criminal. It really is. Because there's nothing behind it. Like there's no. I mean, and then you bring a guy in. It's like, oh man, Pete. Yeah, man. It's bad. I don't know what they're gonna do. They could get somebody to tag, come out and tag with them, um, and maybe it'll still be a 6 man. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's mind boggling because when you think you know, you don't know.
Well, too cold, man. So we talked a little bit about that, man. But let's get back to the topic at hand. You know, the main person. We started it off with this man. I want to end it with this gentleman right here. Of course, Scott Hall, man. I said it earlier. You know, the wrestling community. You know, we take a hard hit. But here's just a couple of a few of the very many tweets, man. You got Jake the Snake Roberts showing his love. You got Jordan Grace. You see, I got right here, man, in the middle. The biggest, most obvious tweet I got right here, man, is from All Elite Wrestling. And the thing I like about this is, AEW and WWE, fans seem to be, so divided. It's such a tribalistic mentality. And I thought it was cool, man, for AEW, of course, to let WWE make the statement first, right? Do their thing, and then for them to kind of follow up and acknowledge, Sky Hall as well. I thought that's pretty cool.
Well, it's the
Man,
same thing
this
WWE
really
did for AEW. Like when Brody Lee
right for
passed,
Brody Lee, right,
like WWE didn't really like they did their thing, but they let AEW celebrate him, and they didn't take that shine, or try to outdo them. They let AEW do their thing with it, which a lot of people really liked, and really it was really awesome, and just it made you if you didn't cry, your eyes got watered. All right, I tell you that flat out,
yeah,
man. You got that from Too Cold, man. Your eyes got watery, man, because it just did something to you. So no, that's only respect, and that's I'm not gonna lie, that's what you expect. I expect to see that because at the end of the day, we are fans of wrestling, and though we have our opinions of one company compared to another, regardless to where
right,
we see some of these guys, we are fans of them, and we want to see them, and because that's what makes the show. So, uh, no, not I'm not surprised by the way they handled it. This is the professional way that you're supposed to handle stuff like this, and hey, big ups to both companies.
Tuco, man. As I go through a few of these pics of Scott Hall, Razor Ramon,
Right
you,
on.
man, what was your favorite? If you just can name one off the top of your head, man, what was your favorite match or what was a favorite storyline, man, that Razor Ramon Scott Hall was a part of that you remember vividly, man? What was your personal favorite Scott Hall moment?
I mean, obviously the ladder match, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental Champion for the unification, undisputed Intercontinental Championships. Um, that in itself was something you really hadn't seen. I hadn't really seen a ladder match, and two guys that I liked that and for a match that never really had seen before because you didn't really see WWE do too many ladder matches, so
Right,
and you really wasn't watching too many other companies. Not me as a kid, I didn't really know about a lot of that. I only knew about two. That was WWE and that was WCW. Um, but you got to you got to yeah, man, you got to definitely give it up for that match. Because like I said, when he lost to 1, 2, 3 Kid, that was like cool because it was like, yeah, somebody stuck it to the bad guy. Yeah, yeah, forget you,
right,
Razor
right,
Ramon. Like like it was like it was kind of like that, man. And like so that was like one of those moments. And then, of course, the infamous Click Showdown, from Madison, where they showed the video. Like I didn't see it, but it was like to see that and to see that they were they were like tight like that.
right, right,
That
right.
was like that was really cool, and it was just, of course, like I said, when he showed up to WCW, like I have a lot of moments with Scott Hall, like when he fought Goldberg, and Goldberg beat him for
Yeah,
United States Championship. Like man, like he talked so much shit, and then Goldberg came out and just squashed through his ass. But he made Goldberg look so good. Like he made Goldberg look greater than what Goldberg really should have looked like. But when Scott Hall was on his game, his matches with Harlem Heat, the Steiner brothers, with him and
Yeah,
Scott Hall being a tag team, man. Just the when he came back and the little stuff he did with Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though I'm upset about that because I felt like Vince really didn't respect and give the NWO or WCW their due when he got them.
right,
He really shitted on them as far as the creativity and what he could have really did with them. We always knew WWE was going to look good in the end, but you could have gave a lot of those guys that really had the respect their respect. Um,
right,
and some of them they got it later on, and a lot of them they just took a lot of shit, and that's why you see the issues you see with some of them now. But this match with Austin, something I didn't think I would see because at that time when you had in the NWO, on one channel doing their thing, and then you had Austin and The Rock and DX and the New Age Outlaws and Kane and The Undertaker and Mankind and Ken Shamrock, and you had all these guys, on these different networks, and you wanted to see them go up against each other. So to get a couple of these, it was kind of awesome, and definitely to see an NWO versus a Stone Cold or a Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. Um, I'm cool. I was okay with Kevin Nash not getting a singles match because, quite frankly, I've seen him and The Undertaker wrestle already. Not really interested in seeing them two wrestle again. And by this time, Kevin Nash knees were about damn near shot, so it's okay. Uh, but oh, my head hurt. Yeah, there's been a lot of great moments, a lot of things that he's done and been a part of, and you will never forget the infamous the cow shocker to Goldberg that helped
yeah, yeah.
Kevin
With the
Nash pin
cow
the cattle
prod,
prod, yeah, the Prado,
yeah.
and shook and so the electric shocked Goldberg so he can lose to that he would lose to Kevin Nash, and then that would cause a
Man,
whole thing, and then that caused the finger poke
yeah.
of doom, which that
Hey,
sent a whole bunch of stuff uproar. Man, oh my god, dude! So it was just there's been so many little things. You always knew how good he was, but once you started to know and see the personal problems take over, you felt for him. But again, this is a celebration, man. We're appreciative to. I'm appreciative, definitely, to have been able to see him from beginning to end. It was a hell of a ride, good and bad. But it was a hell of a ride, and I'll never forget the most funnest time in wrestling ever. Like he kicked started that. Like I'll never forget that. Like how can I ever talk about the Monday Night Wars? You can never like he is in infamy. Like you can never not talk about the Monday Night Wars and what happened and how it started without talking about Scott Hall because he was that dude that walked out and did that promo in the middle of a match on WCW, regardless to if it was on purpose or not. And we all know it wasn't. He wasn't with the company. Bischoff signed him. He just played it off like it was. Okay, we all know that now.
right,
But when you talk about it, when you look back at it, when they do historical whatever, you'll always hear that man's name, Scott Hall, because that's just the impact of what that created. We all know what happened at the end, but what it created and where it took wrestling, just wrestling overall for both companies. Hey, you damn sure gonna have to mention his name.
well, too cold, man. Look, it's been a hell of a time talking to you about, what I'm saying, the OG, the legend Scott
Yeah,
Hall. Like you said, the only man that walk inside the hood with 15 gold chains on and a whole bunch of black
and
kids
not
and
not
come back
a
out the eye. Not a
not a nail one to walk up and snatch. Not a nail one to walk up and snatch it. Go
I
ahead and walk up
really
on
quick,
that boy and snatch it.
really quick. I will say this. So I saw, uh, it was him in the ECW, and he came
Hmm.
out doing this strut to the Fugees. I was like, okay, okay, my boy Scott Hall been there at the sauce, man. My boy,
Right.
Razor Ramon. But
Hey man,
hey,
shit,
bro,
yeah,
man, before we get off the air, man, before we
yeah.
said our final 1-2, man. Any final thoughts for the people before we knock it on out of here?
Nah, man. Like I said, man, condolences to the family. Um, huge loss. Like I say, one of the pioneers of one of the best ages in wrestling, best era of wrestling to me. Um, and like I say, you can never talk about that era without mentioning that man's name. And I know Kevin Nash is taking it hard. I mean, as he should, man. Like he said it best. To have known him longer than anyone else in his entire life. Uh, that is so heartbreaking. And you knew how tight those guys were. All of them.
Right,
You knew how tight him, Sean, they were the clique. X Pac, they were the clique. They were all super tight, man. And they were all the best. They were all great. And they were all Hall of Famers. And I'm glad that he got to, and definitely very glad that he was able to be not only inducted as part of the NW, but to be inducted just as himself, as the bad guy, the bad guy, Razor Ramon.
well, too cold, man. With that being said, hard work pays off, dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And with
But that
that being
guy's
said,
love.
my brother,
Ah,
as
baby.
always, it's an honor and a privilege to do this thing with you that we love so much. Like I said, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the Facebook, subscribe to the Instagram,
Man, you can leave
subscribe to
Scott up,
the
man. You ain't got to show us, man. Put Scott back up there, man. You
you
ain't got
know
to
what I'm
show us.
saying.
Leave. We gonna end the show on Scott, man. We gonna end it
Yeah,
on the homie, man.
subscribe to all the social medias if you haven't already. Like I said, like and comment, do all that good stuff. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Generation Wrestling Podcast. I'm the 28-year-old piece of gold. He's too cold, and we doing this for the OG Reza Ramon, and that's the bottom line to the
Hey
friends
yo,
I said so. Hey yo, peace.
hey yo.